Sound is good? Good. Awesome. Let's see, what are we at? 1431. And 290, 200 and... Oh, somebody dropped out. We hit 295, 292. That's actually a pretty good number. If we hit 296, we'll get started. 295. There we go. All right. Welcome to CS1. So I'm Professor Turner. I'm your instructor for this set of lecture labs. Welcome. This is RPI, by the way, in case some of you I know are online. I'm online right now. So in case you haven't seen it, this is a view from up above, between the security and the union, looking toward main campus. So I don't know if any of you have taken classes here so far, or if this is your first class, welcome. If it's not your first class, you're still welcome, I guess. Not as welcome. I don't know. This is Computer Science 1. What's cutting out, guys? Is this is audio cutting out? I'll move my microphone closer. Okay, good. Let's see. We do need you guys to come in muted. I'm sorry about that, but there's no way for us to manage it. So if anybody can turn their audio off and also your video off, that would be a great thing. I'd love to see all of you. I would like to keep all of you on, but what we need to be able to do is we need to be able to reach all 307 of you now. So this is not optimal, by the way. We have some options on the software we're using. I'm actually running this through something called OBS, and I think actually we'll do the recording under OBS as well. Let me make sure I've got the recorder on. Yes, we are actually recording. Good. But this is actually being run through WebEx. You'll see two types of WebEx things. One is WebEx meetings, another is WebEx events. There's also WebEx teams. If we do events, then you get a different link every class, or I have to schedule everything in one block, and stuff gets a little bit confusing. So we're trying to get by using WebEx meetings. This could change at any point during the semester if it gets too hard to manage, if we're getting too much interference. But the good thing about using WebEx meetings, the reason we would like to use WebEx meetings is because if you want to get in touch with me during my office hours, during class time, anytime you want to interface with me, it's the same link. And we think that that's a little bit simpler, maybe a little bit better. We're still kind of trying these things out. So again, welcome to CS1. We will get started. I really wish that I could have the feedback from you guys. I've done a lot of lecturing over the since 2016. And this is really a lot more difficult to talk to empty air than it is to talk to you guys. We get a lot more from it. Most of what we're going to do in this class is going to be run through something called Submiti. But I want you to know that we do have a website. I'm starting at the website for right now because the head of the department has set out some nice little information. The head of the department is Chuck Stewart. If you do have any problems, any issues, and we can't help you, he's a good person to go to. He's very understanding, particularly of this online COVID semester. But I just want to, this is on our website. I'll give you the link. You'll be able to see it and read it completely. But the important things that I want to bring up here is, we are still learning this lecture stuff. We did the summer semester. I taught all summer semester. We taught since March in the spring semester, but that doesn't mean that we still couldn't do better. So we're trying to do better. Please work with us. if you see things you like, if things aren't going well, please let us know, and please be a little bit understanding when we try to tweak things so that you get, to make your lives easier, to make grading better, or whatever we can do. This is all being recorded, so if you do have problems, it should record at the full screen level, and it should mute out anybody. So, hopefully if this doesn't work, we'll have a recording that's just as good as well. So please work with us on this. Professor Stewart is available. There's his contact information. It's published, in the dictionary as well, or in the roster as well. No, the class ends at 3:50. We were dividing the world up into 2-hour blocks, and I misspoke when I typed in that 4:20. It will end at 3:50. It's an hour and a half class. That said, I frequently run over. I don't normally run over a half an hour. We're gonna try not to. We're not going to do this. Professor Stewart also recorded this video to welcome you guys here. If you've already taken a class this morning from the CS department, you've probably seen it. But if you haven't, thanks. Hold on a second. I can hear it fine, so that's what kind of makes it difficult. Let me see if I can figure this out. Okay, I'm going to have to play with this. I didn't realize that wouldn't come through. No, we're running it through OBS software, so it's not the same. It has to be picked up by my OBS software, and I'm not seeing where to add that device to it. Give me just a second here. At least that's... Yeah, I'm not seeing that option is the problem. Well, this is the first glitch. Hopefully this will be the only one we have. There we go. I found the audio input capture finally. Let's try this. do. All right. There we go. My microphone can wear my headphones. I'll start this over. Hold on just a second. The only problem is I can't actually hear you guys now, so I'm going to trust that somebody will type into...
Hello and welcome to the fall semester 2020 in the Department of Computer Science at Rensselaer. I'm Chuck Stewart, professor in the department and also department head, and I'm here to welcome you and offer you some advice for succeeding. As you know, most of our courses and all of our labs are online this semester. We are the most popular major on campus, and so given social distancing requirements, we are simply too big to fit in classrooms. These social distance requirements also make it more effective to offer online help for labs and homework assignments than in person. In person, we can't sit side by side to look at code and offer advice. But using software tools, some of which have been written by your fellow students, we can virtually peek over to your shoulder to help. We will be making use of these tools throughout the semester. Here are some keys to success. Do your homework. In some classes, homework is a large percentage of your grade, but in all classes, practicing the material through homework is the key to learning. Make use of office hours and discussion forums. No one cares how often you show up at office hours or how many posts you make. What we care about is what you learn and how well you do on your assignments and your tests. Start your assignments early, seek help early. It's very difficult to predict how long an assignment's going to take in computer science. It's just the nature of the material. So if you get stuck, seek help quickly and so that you can move on and complete your work and do your other assignments and your other courses as well. Find a peer group. In some of your courses, your professors will be assigning small lab groups to work together. So get to know those students and start to form a team. You can also work through discussion forums to find other students. And finally, remember that many students throughout campus, throughout RPI, are taking computer science courses, so you might be able to find them among your peers and friends. Given the online nature of the course, some problems will be inevitable. Tolerate these mistakes and glitches, and tolerate mistakes in yourself too. When a problem does arise, work patiently with professors, TAs, mentors, and fellow students to resolve these issues. Remember, your professors, and indeed everyone associated with your course, are on your side. If you need to contact me if an issue can't be resolved or you simply would like to talk, you can reach me in several ways. One is through my email address, which is quite simple, stewart@rpi.edu. You can make an appointment with my assistant, Shannon Carruthers, whose email is listed there. And finally, I have drop-in virtual office hours, Wednesdays 3 to 5, at that WebEx meeting spot. We also have a Discord channel listed there. You can post questions under CSCI-RPI, and this is monitored during normal business hours by our professional advising staff, Megan Potter and Jen-Yu Zhao. Finally, good luck, stay safe, do your best, and stay in touch. We wish you the best possible semester. Take care.
All right. So hopefully that worked. I couldn't tell because I couldn't hear it. And we just did that. We just did that so that you guys would see that sometimes glitches happen. That was totally orchestrated. Realistically, I ran through everything the last couple of days. We found out at one point that my screen was being mirror imaged so that you guys would have had to read backwards or stand on the other side of your screen. We fixed that. The one thing I didn't test, because I can hear everything perfectly fine through my headset, is whether the audio actually played on that video. So I apologize for the glitch, But if that's the only glitch we have this year, I will be enormously surprised. So we'll just have to roll with it a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to try to, please, you guys have already learned how to take advantage of chat. So I will try to monitor chat. The problem is it tends to distract me. So if you hear me kind of saying a lot, that's because I'm trying to follow you guys, your chat thing. There's a question, only a single glitch, not a feature, or a feature, not a glitch, exactly. We just redefined the results. This video and everything is available online. These notes are published, the website's live. So you can go in there and grab the link at any point. It'll be easier for you to do it. I don't have it copied out. If I would have been thinking, I probably would have. But everything is available online, and you'll be able to get to it. I'll show you how to just during this lecture. Okay, so every course has to have learning outcomes, and every course has to have instructors. We have 23 sections. We have, last count, 654, I think, of you as of, 12:30 today. I have sections 1 through 13. Professor Uzma Mushtaq has sections 14 through 23. We collaborate on the material. We use the same homeworks. We give the same tests. We have the same labs. So if you need to, you can drop in on either one of us for office hours. You could drop in on either one of us for lectures. You can, we do ask that you go to your own lab because lab TAs are expected to give you a little bit more individualized time. Not that we won't try our best, particularly during lab hours. But, for the lecture standpoint, our goal is, or our hope is to make this as interchangeable as possible, to make it as convenient for you as possible. We'll get into the labs in just a second, and we'll kind of explain how they're going to work. They're still online, but we will try to do them synchronously to some extent. Learning outcomes are just basically what we say you're going to learn by the end. It's all up to you how much of it you learn. We hope that you learn more than this. But basically, this is a beginning programming course. We don't expect you to come in with a lot. We're hoping you can use us to jumpstart your programming career if you need to. And we're also hoping to make it interesting enough that if you know some programming coming in, you're still okay. You're not bored out of your mind, which makes it a pretty tough course to teach. We start out pretty slow. The first couple of weeks, for those of you who already know some programming, are going to be a little bit boring. But I promise you it will ramp up pretty quickly, and our homeworks get more interesting, and our job is to bring all of you along so that it becomes interesting for all of you instead of irritating. And we try to do our best. Some of the things that I like about this course is, a language is a language. We'll teach you Python. You'll learn C, you'll learn Java. In the first 2 or 3 semesters you're here, you'll learn 3 or 4 different languages. So the language is just a construct. It's something we use. The patterns you use are largely the same, independent of the language you're using. So what we're going to try to teach you to do is we're going to try to teach you to design algorithms and programs from the ground up. We're going to give you opportunities to do some non-trivial programming, particularly in the latter half of the class. And you're going to have to write, test, and learn how to debug. So, we'll do Hello World. We always do Hello World. We'll learn how to debug. Finally, one of the things you need to be able to do as a computer scientist or as a programmer is you need to be able to take real world problems and phrase them as code that the computer can understand. And we're going to help you get there. And we want you to be applying that to your everyday life. This is kind of one of those vague, hand-wavy goals. But the idea is to give you the tools you need so that you can analyze things and figure out how to do more and more with computers. We do have a textbook. I do recommend the textbook. It's a good textbook. It's also, if you look, available online in ebook form. The official text is the 3rd edition. The 2nd edition is Python 3. So the 2nd and 3rd editions both work. If you have the first edition, you will be very confused about a number of things that have changed since version 2 of Python. But second and third will be fine. They're not that expensive. You can get them from our bookstore. They want us to tell you you can get it from the bookstore. I've heard on good authority that you can also get them from Amazon. I haven't done price comparisons, but I don't go to the bookstore very often. No, they're really good guys there, and you can probably find it online for free. So that's yeah. And there's somebody here saying they have a free PDF. I know nothing about it. I expect, since it's so widespread, it doesn't violate copyright, but I'm not positive. All right. Here's how we're going to get around this course. And the communications are going to be a really critical part of what we do this semester, because I can't yell at you in class. I can't wave my hands and get your attention. You guys are going to have to go out and seek out us as much as possible, because I've got no way to reach you other than to send you an email that you can put right back into your spam folder or Bitbucket. So textbook is Practical Programming, Introduction to Computer Science Using Python, Campbell, Grease, and Montoyo. If you just go to SIS and click on it, it'll show you the textbook. It's a good textbook, and it has a lot of exercises we won't get into just because there's not enough time in this course to do everything. But we are the CS department. If you stick with us long enough, you'll find out there's a program called ARCOS, which stands for the Rensselaer Center for Open Source. The Rensselaer Center for Open Source allows you to work on projects as kind of an independent study thing. And some of these projects have legs. In other words, some of these projects last a long time. One of the projects that's lasted 6 or 7 years, I think, is called Submiti. Submiti used to be a homework submission server. When they renamed it, I wanted it to be named HISS, and we could have like a snake as an emblem because nobody likes submitting homework. But Submiti won. The emblem's a duck, which is good. But Submiti is what we use in place of an LMS in a number of courses, particularly in the CS department. It's a homegrown solution. It's a pretty good solution. And if you click, it'll take you to something like this. This is the main page of Submiti. This gradable section is where we'll put things that you will need to submit for a grade. I'm looking at my notes now because I'm not on my notes page, so I need to be able to know what I was going to say here. Okay. So this is where we'll submit things. You'll see this over the next couple of labs in particular. We're not going to worry about gradables until your second lab, which lab 1 is the second lab. You'll get to that the third week of classes, because next week is a special week with Monday that comes on Tuesday or some oddity. If you come to the Submiti link, and it's on our notes, but if you come here, you can get to our website by clicking on Course Home. Okay. Lecture notes are always here under Lecture Notes and Exercises. The stuff I've been reading to you is right here, right? So it's a nice little circle. Submiti. Come on. Establishing a secure connection. I'll cheat. We'll see if this works instead. Okay, Submiti. This will take you to our homepage. Gradables are the things that we're going to give you that you'll need to be able to work with. Let me expand this out. I'll expand the sidebar so it's a little easier for you. You won't have all of these things on the sidebar. I have a lot of things on the sidebar because I'm an instructor. You log into Submiti with your email. Like my email is turnew2, TURNEW2 @rpi.edu. My login to Submity is Turnew2, Turnew2. And then your password is your password for your email. So it's really easy to get in. It gets a feed from the registrar. So all of that should work. We have an office hours queue. You'll be using that. We have an office hours queue. I'm clicking on the video. What is going on? You'll be using the office hours queue during office hours. Yeah, I think it's actually Submity that's having the problem. See, earlier today, our site was down, and now it's Submity's down. We didn't have this problem when you guys weren't on campus. Imagine that. All right. I'll come back to this in a little bit. I'm not going to waste too much more time here. But on this link, on this set of pages, you can see that we have a lot of different links. This is the link to our website proper. That's what we're on right now. That's where I'm demonstrating the notes from. Submity's working now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save a little bit here so we don't. There. I'll bring that up. We can go back and look at some things. We'll be posting course notes. The course notes are going to be available in two places. One, they're available right from this website. Right, I showed you how to get here. You just come down to lecture notes and exercises. We're also going to, we're also going to be posting them on Submity. If this ever comes up again, I'll walk you through a few more things. I'm logging in now, I think. We'll also be posting them there in a course materials site. All of your course materials will be posted there. Lecture notes, lecture exercises. Well, actually, the lecture exercises will come in here. We'll get to those next class. Your labs will be posted here. All of the material we think you need, study guides for the exams, everything will be posted in the course materials site. And there's also an extensive discussion forum that I'm really hoping to get to, where you guys can ask questions and answer each other's questions as well, because we're really counting on you guys being an active course and kind of looking at all the chat windows stuff go by. It kind of looks like you already have the idea. Help each other out. Let's make this a good semester for everybody. I promise I will curve up, but I won't curve down. So you don't have to worry about competing and driving the curve up too high. Just do your best, get a good grade, and we'll be all set. The office hour queue hopefully comes up now. Probably not. We'll come back to that in a second. Okay, so other ideas. I'll come back and hit all of these at some point as Submity allows me. Other items from the syllabus that you should be aware of. And by the way, the syllabus is online. I'll show you where that is in just a second. But other items from the syllabus. My office hours are Tuesday from 2:30 to 4:30, give or take. I think it's actually 2:30 to 4, and Thursday 10:10 to 11:40. That's to line up with the breaks between classes. Class ends at 3:50 every day. I read a different schedule than you guys, basically I read the end of a time block instead of the end of the class block. So it will end at 3:50 every day, assuming I get through everything. Professor Mushtaq is also available. Again, we are sharing responsibilities for this course. So if you can't hit me and you need to talk to somebody quickly, she has office hours every Monday and Thursday from 12 to 3:30. You'll notice that we both have office hours on Thursday. In general, your homeworks will be due Thursday at 11:59 p.m. So you will probably be hitting a lot of office hours during that time. We do have, as I said, we have this nice little website here. If you are, I'm going to come over here and open this in a new tab. This is killing me. Okay, and I'm going to open the other one too while we're at it. Just okay. So our office hours are here. They're my office hours right here. Professor Mushtaq's. Cheyenne is our coordinator. She's the person to contact when you have issues with your lab time, or you need accommodations, or you need some other non-course material specific help. She prefers email, but if you need to talk to her, just send her a quick email so she knows you're gonna contact her, and then she'll set up a WebEx with you as well. We have extensive office hours. This is a weekly schedule. I know it says 8:31, 9/1, 9/2. This is every week. Professor Mushtaq's office hours on Monday, my office hours on Tuesday, our late office hours specifically for those who are out of the time zone. You guys are welcome to use them as well. But all of these are office hours that are available. What you'll need to do is you'll need to go into Submittee, into the office hour queue. If you go to the office hour queue page, there'll be a little queue here. You put your name in, you put your WebEx contact, hang out in your WebEx room, and as soon as the TAs or mentors get through the people ahead of you, they will reach out and try to join your room and try to solve your problem. When contacting Professor Mushtaq or I, please use we will run we don't have a team. It's just her and I. So we're going to ask you to join us instead of having us monitor the box. It's a little easier that way for us, and it's something else you don't have to remember. So that's our office hours schedule. The office hours queue. Let's queue up the next thing we want to show. Course materials. I'll let that run. We also have down here on this block, we have lab and lecture times. When you go to lab this week, and your lab does start tomorrow, labs are on Tuesday and Wednesday. So you'll have, if you look at your schedule, you'll have a Monday lecture, you'll have a Thursday lecture, you'll have a Tuesday or a Wednesday, not both, Tuesday or Wednesday lab, and then you'll have a test block on Thursdays for your tests. Okay? When you look at your lab, our labs are organized by time and by section. This is all of Tuesday's labs. This is all of Wednesday's labs. This is by time and day. If you know your lab number, and that should be on your schedule, you can just come down here and find your lab section. We'll probably modify the lab stuff during the course of the semester because we want to divide you up into smaller study groups. But for right now, and until you hear differently from your TA, you just click on whichever lab you want to go to and go to their lab at the lab time. Now, lectures are both optional. It's not Submittee's not down. Submittee is slow. There is a difference. What's happening is everybody's hitting Submittee right now to look at this stuff, and when it does, it kind of bogs it down. But here are the things we have available in course materials already. The lab for this week is here in the lab folder. Okay? Lecture notes, This is the lecture notes that I'm actually using right now, except I'm using an HTML version instead of a PDF version. And here's the syllabus with the PDF. And the question is, does this happen near to the deadline? Sometimes. So please plan ahead. You'll have at least a week to do your assignment. Don't wait till 11:58 to submit. Submit earlier. This is a little bit worse right now because I think we have a bunch of people hitting it. I think all of you are hitting it right now, and that's bogging it down. But we will do better during submissions. We generally can do better. All right, so this would have gone more smoothly, but let me just kind of recap some things. Oh, and here's the discussion forum as well. With the discussion forum, this is another really important piece of technology, or if you guys are familiar with Piazza or you're familiar with Slack, it's not quite as good as Discord because we don't have a voice channel and we don't have a video channel, but it is along the lines of Slack or Discord. We'll let that run for a second. What else do I need to talk about here? Yeah, we're okay. Let's go back to our Lecture 1 notes. Okay. Okay, so this is, you should have gotten about 4 emails depending upon when you, I guess it looks like 6 emails depending on when you started the class. Those emails were sent from the discussion forum by Professor Mustakai and Cheyenne Hulber. We did that by making these announcements and telling you that they were, and telling it to send out an email right away. But this is also available for you guys to ask questions and do things in. So you can see somebody here asked a question about Lab 0. In general, what we would ask you to do is we would actually ask you to start a new thread with a new question. Look through the previous threads. We'll try to keep them organized as much as possible and see if your question's already been asked or answered. But if it hasn't, then you can come down here and you can ask a question, and then I can go in and say, you need to run conda install on the Pillow libraries. It should be one of the steps in the installation guide. If you have and it doesn't work, then please see the TA during lab. You likely have multiple Python installs and Pillow is installed to different Python than the IDE is using. Something like that. Okay, so you can do that, and then we can respond. You guys can respond. This is supposed to be an open forum. What we don't want you to do is we don't want you posting. No, you don't have. You shouldn't have to do Lab 0 before class. In general, we'll try to give you a heads up so that you can get more of it done during. Sometimes they're a little long. They're targeted for a 2-hour period, but we'll try to give you a heads up on it. For this particular one, so long as you have this installed before the next lab, you will be fine. You shouldn't need to work on it now. The only thing would be if you want to get a head start. So if you run into a problem like this, you know about it ahead of time. Okay, so anyway, this is what the discussion forum looks like. You can create a thread to start a new topic. Again, look through the threads that have already been created and make sure that there's not one there that covers your question. If there isn't, you can do create a thread, and it will start a new thread for you. And of course, it's not going to allow me to do that, but that's okay. It just comes up with a window to type in, and then you type in some stuff. Okay. The class on Wednesday at 12:20 would be, as Grace mentions, that would be your lab block. So you would be in one of the 12:20 labs. See if that comes up. All right. Yes? So the question is, and I'm saying the question is because it won't come through on the recording unless I do. The question is, are we using an old version of Python or a new version of Python? We will be using Python 3.6. Any version of 3.6 should work. When you install, using our instructions, it will probably install 3.8. You shouldn't have a problem, except that Submiti is only running 3.6. So if you try to use constructs that we haven't taught you that have come out since 3.6, it probably won't work on the Submiti platform. So installing 3.8 is fine. The instructions we give you will install 3.8, which is, I believe, the latest. The instructions to install are in the lab. If you read the lab document, they're there. They'll tell you where to go. So you're going to install 3.8 on your machine. Submiti's running 3.6. You'll be limited to 3.6 functionality, but there isn't a lot of things that are you don't need to integrate it. Just don't use the constructs that are only in 3.8. Okay. If you do want the software instructions, they're down here in the software installation. But the lab will just walk you through all of that. Hello? You're fine. Yeah, if you already have it installed, that's fine. Make sure it's the right version. You do need 3. You need 3.6. Probably 3.5 will work, or 3.8. Like I said, the only issue is that Submiti is running 3.6, so you're going to be limited to 3.6 functionality. If you have problems tying the Spider IDE to the specific version of Python you're using, ask the TAs. They'll be able to help you out. Well, Visual. So one of the things we like to tell you is that I don't need to show you that. That's just the Python instructions. They're down here. If you click on software install, they'll help you install it. We have 675 of you. Okay, so when we get a question, we want to make sure that we know the problem, we know where the problem is. So we're going to ask you to install Spider. If you use a different IDE that you're more familiar with to do your own development, that's fine. We don't have any issues with that. But if you're going to come to us and ask for help, then we're going to ask you to bring it up in Spider, because the TAs are going to be used to Spider. They'll be able to understand the things faster. They'll be able to help you faster. And more than that, then we know that, we can run you through a few tests. We know that it's up, it's installed, and we know that the problem isn't in the IDE or in the way it was installed. So, please install Spider. You can use whatever IDE you want to use to do your Python development personally. But if you're asking for help, then please expect to bring up Spider and to work in there. Okay? Not much change from 6 to 8. There's some F-string stuff. I don't know really what else. I do VI almost exclusively, but that's okay. All right, so let's get through the rest of this. We posted office hours. You have a week after we assign a grade, right? We'll give you an assignment. You'll turn it in. We'll grade it. We'll release it to you. You have a week to tell us it's wrong. After that, it's going to be considered final. So please look over your grades regularly. We'll be using something called rainbow grades to give you a heads up of your scores in a nice rainbow colored block. You want hints are you want a lot of greens and blues. You don't want a lot of reds and yellows and oranges. Class attendance is optional. There are going to be lecture exercises starting fairly quickly. Lecture exercises are expected to be done within 24 hours of the lecture, and they cover the lecture material to kind of reinforce the lessons. You don't have to go to the lecture. You do have to do the lecture exercises. There are 24 of them. There's 24 classes, 22 sets of lecture exercises, and we drop 4. So, there's like 18 or 19 lecture exercises that are available to be completed. They're worth 4 points cumulative on your average, so they're not a heavy burden, but we do want you doing them. We do want you reinforcing the lessons. You are allowed to do Linux. I have one of each, OS X, Linux, and Windows. Use what makes sense to you, but make sure you have the right Python versions. So we covered the lecture thing. You can go to whatever lecture you want, and you can view either or both of the lectures as a video. It's up to you. Class attendance is optional. You are expected to do lecture exercises. We will provide notes. I showed you the notes here in the website. I also showed you the notes on Submiti, so you can get to them. They're PDFs on Submiti. We will give you some late days. You will have homeworks due. The late days only apply to homeworks. They don't apply to lecture exercises. They don't apply to tests. On homeworks, you have 3 days throughout the semester to be late, okay? You can only use 2 late days maximum on any single homework. A minute past midnight counts as a late, right? So if you submit something, if it's due Thursday at 11:59 and you submit it at Friday morning at 12:01 a.m., it's late. It will cost you a late day. So be careful with those. We recommend you can use them as you want. You don't have to do anything to use them. The very act of submitting late will tick it over. You do have the ability to walk back a version if you'd like. So if you submitted one late and you don't want to submit it late, you can go back and select another version. We'll show you that in the Submiti lab. But just be careful with your late days. These early, there's going to be 8 or 9 homeworks during the semester. The first 4 you probably don't want to use late days on. They get tougher. Save it for when something goes wrong, when your computer crashes, when the dog eats your hard drive, whatever. We're not going to post anything on LMS. We use Submiti. So please get in the habit of checking Submiti at least daily. More would be better. The syllabus is on Submiti. I just showed that a few seconds ago. It's also available on the front page of our website. I'll jump to that in just a second. Actually, I can come over here, maybe, and jump to that. Yeah, if you come down here, here is the syllabus. It's a PDF, and here is the link to Submiti. Okay? Let's see, I'm just quickly going through. Yes, you can install whatever you need to on your loaner laptop. The installations aren't that difficult, so you should be able to quickly reinstall them on your final machine when you get it. All right. What else do we have here? We take academic integrity really seriously, particularly in these online semesters. We will specify how much help you can get. Please follow the rules. I can tell you that on Homeworks, we have some very good software comparison tools. We run them. We use them. What happens is we run the software comparison tool, and then Professor Mushtaq and I take a look at the biggest hits, and we decide whether there's any way that could have happened randomly. And generally, the answer is no. So please be very careful on the way you collaborate. We're very happy to have you talk to one another about how to do a project. We're very happy for you to discuss strategies for doing it. What we don't want you doing is discussing or showing each other your code. All the code should come from the fertile imaginations of your own mind. So please, take that seriously. We'll give you instructions. We'll codify this in a little document that we'll hand out before at the first or second homework. But please take it seriously. Please don't cheat. Please don't cheat on tests. If we catch you on tests, it's an automatic F for the course. If we catch you on homework, it's a 0 on the homework, 5 points off your 5 or 10 points, depending on how egregious it is, off your final average in the course. If we catch you a second time, that's also an F. Okay, I don't like talking about this. It's my least favorite part of the semester, but we do take it seriously. You guys are college students now. You're supposed to be doing your own work. You're all very capable. We know that sometimes it gets hard. That's what we're for. Come to us and we will help you out. If there's no test on a Thursday, that block is just a placeholder. That's all that actually matters. The late night testing block will be 3 times per semester. We will have it. Those dates are published right now. If you go to, if you come up here and do detailed schedule of topics for this class, this is every topic that we are aware of right now, including our testing dates. Exam 3 is on the Thursday of the week with 11/16, just the Thursday before Thanksgiving. Exam 2 is the last week of October, I guess, at least the last full week of October. And Exam 1 is coming up pretty quickly in the beginning of October. You've got some time. Okay? And that testing block will only be used in weeks when we actually have tests. I talked to you about the labs. The one other thing I want to mention, and here's the actual lab dates or actual test dates. The one thing I do want to mention is we know that some of you have nasty time zone issues. Our labs run from 10 in the morning. The last lab starts at 7 at night, I think, 6:55. So we think we can fit everybody into a lab. We would really like to run labs synchronously because, the first one starts at 10:10, the last one ends at 9 o'clock, essentially. We want to run labs synchronously because this is a collaborative learning experience. We're going to have you working in small groups with others of your peers, with TAs and mentors available to help you out. It's the best chance you have to have one-on-one instruction. Instead of having me talking to 300 and some of you, there will be 3 or 4 staff, TAs and mentors, talking to 30 of you. Okay, so it's really critical that we get this time. So please find a lab time that works with you if you can. I've asked Cheyenne, please contact Cheyenne with any requests to change lab sections. I've asked her to try to make it, anybody who in particular has a time zone issue, to try to work with them to get a time that actually works, right? I think in Shanghai, 10:10 a.m. is 10:10 p.m., and I think 6:55 p.m. is 6:55 a.m. So we'll try to work within those constraints. If it can't be worked out, please contact us, right? We want to be as flexible as possible. We don't want to punish you. Talk to us. We'll try to work out something that works. But if you can fit it into these time zones, that would be a big help. Cheating bad. I like that. No, for the lab, we want you to stay within the lab section. You can switch to any section, but please go to the lab you switched to, right? Make it official so that we know who's showing up. Okay? Okay. Where am I? Oh, the last thing is, and I don't know how important this is this year, there is a final exam during finals week. You need to be ready to take the final exam during finals week. Generally, I would tell you, please don't plan your plane tickets until you know when that final exam would be. This year, I'm not sure if any of you, if some of you even need plane tickets. I don't. I think that I installed everything I needed on my laptop, and I've done it a lot of times. So it's not. I got a new laptop this year. I've done this a lot of times. It took me 45 minutes, and I forgot 2 things, and I went back and did it in 3. So, that part of the lab is not really all that egregious. If you run into problems, you're going to run into problems anyway. It's good to have the TAs there. So I don't think you really need to worry about the lab too much. If you want, you can do it. If you don't, do it during the lab. Yes, you are leaving at Thanksgiving. We're kicking you off campus. And then we're not bringing you back because we would have to quarantine you for 2 weeks, and there's only 2 weeks left in the semester. So it doesn't, we would get you out of quarantine just in time to take your final exam. Okay? You will be okay if you've never used Python before, provided you work. I mean, I'm not going to tell you you're going to be okay. You're going to have to put in some work. But even those who know Python are going to have to put in work. So that's not really a different issue. You should be fine. Okay? All right. Any questions about that front matter? We've got about 23 minutes, and I've got 37 minutes worth of material. Now we've got a little bit more I want to go into that's actually starting to talk, starting the class instead of just talking about this stuff. So there's that email, CS1 instructors. Send us your name and your email. What is likely happening is that you didn't register late at all, did you? Okay, I'll take a look into it. If it's your physical location in the world, that's the issue. Try VPNing into RPI. There are, if you do our Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute VPN.cio, DOTCIO, it'll give you instructions for creating the VPN. You might be okay. If the VPN won't let you in, then there's something wrong with the way Submiti is configured. So send me your name, and if you can't get to Submiti through the VPN and it's persistent, there are glitches right now. I was having problems earlier this lecture. Just send me an email and we'll take a look at it. Okay. Sure. Okay. I love this. I love this next bullet. We're now at the magic of programming. Any of you guys, RPI VPN is a virtual private network that allows you access to all of RPI's resources from off campus. There is a link to it on the .cio website. If you are off campus, I would recommend you actually get it installed and use it. It will make your life a little simpler. Not simple, but simpler. Okay. So I love this section. Magic of programming, cold, harsh logic, seemingly primitive syntax leading to soaring creativity. The thing is there's not really a lot of building blocks in the simplest code. And we're going to teach you those building blocks. But it's like a fractal, right? You can build all sorts of patterns and all sorts of pretty pictures just starting from the fact that you're going to draw an X, and then you're going to draw another X on each of the legs. We have a lab that's going to have you do that. What we're here to do today, what we're here to do this semester, is to teach you the building blocks that you're going to be able to put together in order to solve multiple problems in the world and in the homeworks, at least the homeworks. The world's a stretch goal. We'll try to get there. we're going to try to, one of our things is, in fact, something we're going to show a little bit today is, manipulating words. We're going to talk about some image processing and manipulation. I worked in image processing for a lot of years. We're not going to do that type of image processing. I looked for cancers in people's brains or lungs or colons, which was gross, especially when you're doing that from a video as opposed to a CT. Gross. Web searching and crawling. We're going to have you gather data off the internet, do a little crawling, use a little bit of Yelp data. We'll probably work with some Twitter. I don't think we use Flickr anymore, but we have some other photo labs. The best thing for me is numerical examples. I worked on physical simulations before. One of the things that I was tasked with doing was helping to be able to tie knots virtually using haptics, right? Devices with biofeedback or feedback. And the issue was that threads are really thin, so you have to catch before they cross so that you can resolve the forces correctly, which is really was a lot of fun thing. And depending on what homeworks we do, we may even do part of Pokemon Go. So let's start with our first program, and as was kind of shown earlier today by one of your astute colleagues. Let's see, where do I want to be? Terminal. By your astute colleagues, we'll start with a hello world example. I'm going to start off in this little window. This is a terminal window. In fact, this is an Anaconda PowerShell. So if you install Anaconda following our directions, you'll get this. I'm in a directory called class, where I'm going to put some class code. And I'm going to use VI, or Vim, the newer VI, to do a hello world program. I'm going to call it PY because good programmers are lazy. No. I should not have installed that. Okay. And all we're going to do... I think top left. So this is a black screen. So I think the issues you're having are not that you can't see anything, just that it's a black screen. So let me just page down a little bit. I'm going to do a print here. I'm going to say hello, and I think I'm going to uninstall Kite. It turns out that sounded like a fun idea, but it wasn't nearly as much fun as I thought it would be. And I can do something else. I can do something like print. This is Python. Only intelligent people can see. The capture area of OBS is a little off. Let's see. Probably. I set it up right after. Okay, but anyway, we're here. I now have a file. The file is hello.py. I can do ls. You can see the file is there. I can do a cat hello.py. That'll print it out. That's just what I put in. And if I want, this is now a source file of Python code. And if I want, I can actually run this by doing Python hello.py. And it will run the code and it will do what I told it to do. And this is pretty simple. I told it to print out hello world. I also told it to print out this is Python. So this is about the simplest. I've written hello world programs in every language I've ever learned, including some of the web languages, HTML I've written it in, just because it's a quick and simple program just to make sure you have everything installed. What I want to show you is it's just a matter of putting some text in a file and then we can execute it. That's all a program is. And if we want now, we can start looking maybe at our IDE that we had you install. And our IDE is Spider. And it turns out that Spider just has this area. This is a text editor. This is the same as coming over here and typing VI or Vim, right? This is just a text editor. We can come in here, we can open up, we can see the holo.py. This is just the file that I wrote a few minutes ago. And then it has this little execution area. This is a debug area. This is going to tell us stuff about our code. But the two main areas are this text editor and then this console area where we can run things, right? Or where we can go into a debugger and step through our code one line at a time, right? We've just executed the first line, hello world. We're sitting ready to execute this as Python. We'll step through and execute that. And we can use these to kind of walk through our program and find out where we're making mistakes. Okay. You will install this when you go to Lab 0. Okay, I've got to jump on you. I've done Lab 0 before. So this is no different than coming down here and creating a file and then executing Python on that file. All right, so IDEs aren't magic. They're just editors and tools all put together. Okay, so this is pretty simple. And Hello World is the first program I generally write when I'm starting a class. But it's not the second program I write. So let's look at something a little bit more complicated. And this is a problem that's been around for a while, or a puzzle. And the puzzle is the triple doubles. So what word in the English language, and there is one, and you know, of course it's plurals and other forms of it, but there's one word in the English language that has 3 consecutive sets of double. Yeah, don't be typing that in there. Kill that. We'll get to it. No problem. I'm normally faster. Zookeeper doesn't have 3 sets. So that has 3 sets of double letters. And the idea is let's think about how we would actually go about solving this problem. So let's think just from committee would be good. The way we want you to solve it, right, when we're asking it as a puzzler, is we want you to solve it by thinking through every word you can think of and guessing, right? But if you wanted to do it systematically, what would you do? Well, you'd probably start out with one of these, right? All the words, at least in English, at least up through, I don't know, a couple years ago. And what you would do is you would walk through every word in that dictionary, right? And you would look at every word in that dictionary and you would look to see whether that word you were looking at has 3 consecutive sets of double letters. And it would take you a long time because no matter how fast you read, 1, reading a dictionary is kind of boring. And 2, there's a lot of words. So what we want to do is we want to come up with how we would do this on a computer. So let's take a look at a different file. Okay, 3doubles.py. This is a file to actually solve that problem. And if we run it, yes, in fact, bookkeeper, bookkeepers, bookkeeping, and bookkeepings, right? They're all variants of the word bookkeeper. So bookkeeper is in fact the word. So now we both know that we can do it and we have divulged the secret word. But let's look at what the program actually is, right? There's a lot of stuff here that are comments. So this first block is comments. You should read through those because they kind of explain what's going on. This import is just getting us some stuff to access the web. So we're going to ignore that for right now. I'm going to ignore this for right now too. Let's come down to the actual main part of the code. And this is the actual main part of the code in this section right here. Okay? The first thing we did when we thought about how to do this systematically was we decided we needed a dictionary. Well, a computer isn't magic. We will, I can make this bigger if that would help, I think. Let me see if I can do properties. It's been a while since I've used this particular IDE. There we go. Okay, is that better? Okay. All right, so the first thing we decided we needed a dictionary. Well, these lines are just grabbing our dictionary for us. And don't worry if you don't understand a lot of this. We haven't taught you any of this yet. I'm just pointing out that telling a computer what to do is an awful lot like telling, well, anything what to do. So we can come back here and we can go to here. And if I come in, I can do a extra channel and I can do a Control V. And this is all that link does. It allows us to access this file, which is a list of effectively all the words in the English language, right? So all we're doing here is exactly that. We're taking our dictionary and we're opening it up and we're getting all of the words available to us. And now what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and just like we would have to walk through our dictionary looking at one entry at a time, right? Coming through, looking at one entry at a time. Lift this up, right? All we're doing here is the same thing. We're walking through one word at a time. This decode just allows us to translate between what the computer gives us and actual letters. If the word has 3 double letters, well, then we've succeeded. And that's all we're asking here, right? If the word has 3 double letters, we've succeeded. And if we succeed, then we're going to print up the word. And by the way, we'll keep a little count of that as well. Okay? So the one thing that's left in this is, well, we haven't actually defined what has 3 double letters, has 3 doubles. Means, well, that's a function. Function's up here. We take a word, and we're going to walk through, instead of walking through the words in a dictionary, we're going to walk through the letters in the word. Now, strip means take blank spaces from the front and back, essentially. Not all the spaces, just the ones on the ends. Okay, so now we're going to, and this has been 3. What we're going to do is we're going to walk through and we're going to look for 3 pairs of letters. So we're going to walk through all the letters in the word, right? Kind of. And if the place we're going to start at the first letter in the word. If the first letter matches the second letter, and the third letter matches the fourth letter, and the fourth letter matches, and the fifth letter matches the sixth letter, you'll notice we're all off by 1 on these, right? This is +0, +1, +2, +3, +4, +5. If they all match, then we found a word that actually fits. And if that's the case, then we say, yes, we found the word. And if we walk through all of the letters in the word and we don't find it, then we say false. Now, here's the interesting part. In order to have 3 double letters, there have to be at least 6 letters left in the word, right? 3 consecutive double letters. Thank you. Right? There have to be at least 6 letters left in the word. So we don't actually have to look at every letter in the word. We just have to look at the letters in the word until we've reached a point where there aren't enough letters left in the word to have 3 sets of doubles. So we're actually cheating here a little bit. We're stopping early whenever we get to a point where there aren't enough letters left to actually make a difference. Okay? So that's all this program does. And all this program does is essentially what you would have to do if you wanted to look through a dictionary and find and solve the same problem. But what this is called is called an algorithm. It's basically a step-by-step explanation to the computer, or step-by-step explanation of how to actually solve a problem. And we have to think about it when we're doing these problems, when we're solving these problems. We have to think about how to put it in terms that the computer can actually understand. We took more time on the first part of this than I expected, so I think I'm going to talk about compilers, and then I'll talk about syntax errors during the next class. Yeah. So Python is an interpreted, well, maybe I can get to the syntax errors. Python is an interpreted language. What that means is the Python interpreter, the program that's actually running that Python on the command line, is actually reading these lines one by one as it goes through, okay? And it's executing the lines that it reads. In a compiled language, something like C or C++, you actually take this source file and you convert it into something that the computer understands directly, and then you run that something, right? And that's the difference between compiled and interpreted languages. Now, interpreted languages tend to be slower because they have to have this text-based representation. No lecture exercises today. They have to have this text-based representation instead of executing the code more efficiently like a C++ or a C would do by compiling it down to another language. Now the difference though is that the Python can be run directly. The compiler we have to actually compile it. And because of this, there's this concept of syntax and two different types of errors, syntax and semantics. So a syntax error, you can see the little red mark comes up, it says invalid syntax. That's an error that stops the computer from being able to run, right? It's an error in the expression of the formula that makes it so the computer can't understand what we're doing. In this case, a for loop needs a colon at the end, and without the colon, we have an error. With a colon, we're now good. The other thing that you can have is a semantic error. And a semantic error doesn't necessarily stop the program from running, but it keeps the program from getting the right answer. So syntax is the structure, semantics would be the meaning of the word. For us, semantics is the correct execution of the program, expression of what you want the computer to do. So if we do this, right, now we've made a semantic error. We're no longer comparing 3 sets of doubles. We're just really comparing 2 sets of doubles. And what we're going to find out is that we're no longer getting the right answer. Instead of getting the 4 variants of bookkeeping, we're getting 142 variants of different words that only have 2 pairs. So that's kind of the difference in illustration of semantics versus syntax. Syntax is the coding, how you write the thing so that the compiler understands it or the interpreter understands it. And the semantics are are you actually telling it to do the right thing correctly? You can tell it to do something correct. You can have the correct syntax and still not get the correct answer. And quite honestly, syntax errors are much easier to find than semantic errors in general. So I think that's about it. I'm going to leave you with the reasons we're doing Python are it's a simple language, it's a very powerful language, and it's a language that's used a lot in engineering. So since this course is also used by a lot of the engineering courses, and it's very extensible, we'd like to teach this course as our initial course. I think that's about it. I'll talk a little about abstraction later. That's about the only thing we missed here. And there's a little section on Lab 0 that you can refer to. So there's no homework due this week. There's no lecture exercises due at the end of this lecture. This is all you had to do today was listen attentively to me and help one another out in chat. All right, we're done. You can go if you want to type your questions in, or even come online. Feel free, but the class is over. Go on your way. Enjoy yourselves. I'll try to have a bad joke by next class. Couldn't think of one today. You're welcome. It's hard to come up with them, man. Bad jokes are tough. Good. You can download Spider before your lab or after your lab. It doesn't matter. It'll be good either way. Well, so at RPI, I actually do less research than I did before RPI. I was at GE for a while at their research center. I was at a small company called Kitware. I was at a smaller company called SimQuest. So I've been, and then before all of those, I was at a place called HRB doing sine waves. But most of my research, like I said, I don't do much here. I do a little bit of puttering around. But most of my research was in image, either visualization or image exploitation, mainly medical images, a little bit on non-medical images, part inspection and things. But I was doing a lot of looking for cancers in MRIs or CTs. I was doing a lot of finite element analysis to do computer simulations, those types of things. I'm sorry? Not as much, a little bit. I've done some consulting with somebody doing some eye registration for eye operations. I've done some consulting for some online schools, different things like that. This job, takes a lot of time. There's but yeah, I've done some other. Mostly what I'm involved with right now is open source software. So when I'm not doing, when I'm not doing grading or when I'm not teaching, I'm kind of going to conferences on open source software and kind of getting involved with that. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. She, no, that's okay. But she worked at IBM for a while, I believe. But I'm not really sure. She has more of a semantic bent. I think she may be more of a languages person, not a computer languages person, but not a like Spanish or something. But she's not really doing much research right now either, just because of we brought her in specifically to help out with these large courses, and we've kept her really busy. She's really nice too, by the way. Yep, Thursday, same bat time, same bat channel. Okay, sure. Yes. Every section has its own lab time. If you're not at a lab time you can support, right, because of time zones or something like that, then please contact Cheyenne and get moved to one that will. We want you to go to the lab that you're actually in, but we want you to make that lab be the one that you can get to. Yeah. So if you look at your schedule, it'll say something like CSCI 1100 dash something, right? Like 01 or 02 or 11 or 12 or something like that. That dash, the two letters or the two digits after the dash are your section. Yep, that would be section 6. So let's see. Give me just a second here. So section 6 would be Vrishti Jain, and that would be right here. So this would be the person you would want to be going to. Vrishti Jain at 1220. There's her WebEx. Okay. Cheyenne. Well, so you go. There's a student services. You go to them and they'll issue a note to us, but it goes to Cheyenne eventually. If you have the note already, just send it to Cheyenne. Yeah. Actually, if you send it to CS1 instructors, that hits all three of us. But I'm just going to send it to Cheyenne and make sure that because she'll make sure that we know everybody, and she keeps track of it all. No, you can probably do it during lab. Like I said, it took me less than an hour to get everything done, and I wasn't even paying attention when I was doing it. Now then again, I've done it multiple times on multiple platforms, but it's not, you should have time during lab to do it. Okay? Yes. I hate that. Yep. There's no Tuesday next week. There's a Monday you have off, and then there's another Monday. Okay. Yeah, so it's Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay? No issues. No problem. Java, Jovial, Assembler, Python, Pascal, PL1, Ada, C and C++ both, Bash, Perl. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I counted at 30 years ago I was at 14, so I don't know what I'm at now. Okay, but HTML, JavaScript, I'm not great at all of them, but I know a lot of them. Backend. Yeah. Yep. My degree's in computational linear algebra, so the visual stuff is, I'm much better at looking at numbers. You're welcome. See you next time. Yes, I can. So you can we do accept students, if they have the background, pretty much at any time. I like to see people get through data structures first, because you'll get a lot more out of it. So that's kind of the guideline. If you have a great project, we can talk about it, but it's good if you get that background in first, because you'll learn a lot more at that point than before. Okay. You're welcome. No problem. You too. Thank you. Sure. Of this course? It depends on your background, but if you don't organize, so the real hardest part is if you don't organize your programs correctly, you can end up with a whole big spaghetti mess, and that makes it very hard. So I think maybe that part of the answer is learning to use classes correctly and learning to abstract your code away. You know, as far as constructs go, we do get into recursion near the end of the class. Recursion is a funny beast, and yeah. So it's a funny beast. It's one of those things that's really hard the first time and then becomes conceptually simpler. I think that I didn't have a good understanding of it until Lisp, which was like for me that was second semester or first semester sophomore year or something like that. But you'll do a lot of it. We'll expose you to it in this class, and then you'll do a lot of it in data structures. So you'll be much better at it. And so that's probably the hardest concept to grasp. Doing the homeworks is really the hard part. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's yeah. Yeah. So, but JavaScript, the thing that I find frustrating about Python is the fact that it has it's weakly typed, so you don't have to declare what a variable is before you use it. And I have a big prejudice against that because of a few things that happened when I was younger. I once had a program they gave to me. It ran 5 racks of signal processing equipment, and I ran a cross reference on it and found the same word spelled 4 different ways. So you knew it was, it was like they thought they were using the same variable, but they weren't. And that's what happens in these weakly typed languages. But yeah, Python is an easy language to pick up. The one thing that's weird about it is just weakly typed. And the other thing about it, or one thing that's weird is weakly typed. Another thing that's weird is that it relies on spaces. Spaces have meaning. So you'll get it if you can do Java and you can do JavaScript. You'll be able to handle it. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Goodbye. Yep. Uh, um, so yeah. We're still working on a little bit of what flexibility means in that situation. It's likely that you'll have, it's likely we'll have something like you have this 12-hour or 18-hour period to do it in, but you only can take 2 hours during that period. Okay. I don't know if that helps you or not, but that's yeah, we're still working through it a little bit, but I think that's the conception we're running right now. That's why I was definitely vague about it, and that's why, because we aren't exactly positive what we're doing, but that's the concept we're passing around. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I've got 2 questions in the chat that I'm answering. If you give me just a second, okay. So the first question was about the manual versus auto-graded points. That's going to vary depending upon the particular assignment and what we're emphasizing. When we start talking about modules and classes, your module and class documentation will start becoming more important. And the second question is no prior experience. We don't expect or require that you have prior experience, but what I recommend for you to do is, we give you a lot of opportunity between the lecture exercises and the labs and the homeworks to practice. If you get the book, there's also additional practice problems in there. Learning Python, learning any language is a lot like learning French or Russian or a second language. You need to practice it. You need to, learn the concepts and then use the concepts. So, just keep working on it. Work on some small problems. Look for problems to solve, and we will give you a lot of stuff to work on. So you will have that opportunity to practice as well. Okay. Okay. So I think that was it. Kyle, was it? What's your question? Yeah. So if you go, yeah. So you would be right there. Yeah. So if you go to our homepage, right now that you guys are all off, everything's working fine. If you go to our homepage, right, and you can get there right from Submittee, right? If you go to Submittee, you just click on the little house. It'll take you right there. And then you click on, I just pulled my microphone out by swinging my arms. Okay, so I'm back. So if you go there, they're all there. Just go down and you'll find it. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we get a lot of I've never done this study, but one of the professors did this previously, and what they find is that if you have a lot of experience, it's easier to get an A, but it's also easier to get a C. Whereas if you come in with no experience, you get fewer. You're coming in with fewer preconceptions, so you actually tend not to get as many C's. Not as many A's either, but not as many C's. That's not saying that doesn't mean you can't get an A. It just means that the distribution is kind of bimodal on people who come in with a lot of experience. They either do really well or they don't do well at all. Whereas you guys are more middle of the road. So there shouldn't be a problem. Okay. Good. Thank you. Same to you. Anybody else? All right, I'm going to stop the recording and close down shop. It was nice talking to you all, and enjoy your first day of classes. Talk to you later. Okay, bye. Bye. Sure. I just posted it in the chat. If you scroll up a little bit, at 3:53. Okay, there's one. Yep. It's also on our front page of our website. So if you just come in and click on the front page, you'll get there. Probably not. But if you go to this, if you see the link that I have up there, if you go to that CS1 instructors, that'll get to all three of us. Otherwise, there's her. Okay. Okay, and there's one more question about can we use things like Stack Overflow? So Stack Overflow is a resource, and you can use it to look up stuff. We don't want you copying code you don't understand from Stack Overflow and using it in your programs. And that may trigger. That's one of the things that the TAs will look for when they're looking for your code. So anything you understand, you can use. But don't just copy it. Make sure you can write it from scratch, because on the tests you will have to. Use it as a resource, not as a answer, if that makes sense. Okay, and don't get somebody to do your homework for you. We will find that out. It's very painful conversations. Thanks.